Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we are taking a look at Robocop Rogue City. Had to remember the name there for a second. Oh god, I'm getting old. So Robocop, it's done by Tayon, who are the same studio that did Terminator Resistance, which I also greatly enjoyed. Spoiler, I greatly enjoyed Robocop Rogue City. I did have slight problems when going to record the footage for the game, because it just patched and my virus scanner decided that the new patch files were a virus and wouldn't let me access them, so I had to reacquire them and ditch the virus, and then it launched. And I was just like, of course it does it now. Of course, when I want to do that. I can't say it will be the same for every virus scanner, but if you are having problems running it, then that could be your reason. But it is a good game. So you obviously played the titular Robocop. It's set after Robocop 2. They seem to have disregarded Robocop 3, as most people commonly do. I think the best thing about that was introducing me to Jill Hennessy, who is quite lovely and very much up my alley. But it's done with the same sort of respect and love for the franchise that Terminator Resistance was. That was one of the best things about it. Just the absolute determination to remain faithful and loving to the property itself. In today's climate, where everything's getting changed and remade and recast and all that, it's really nice to see something come out that stays as close to the original as humanly possible. There's returning characters that you'll see. Lewis is in it, because obviously Robocop 3 hasn't happened. There's a load of Ed 209s. Sometimes they're helpful, sometimes they're less than helpful. And there's a returning character that I won't spoil for you here.
One unconscious fugitive suffering heavy blood.
But it really nails the gunplay. And I mean, you're stomping about as Robocop. You make the whole Robocop stompy noises as you walk around the place. You can move a bit faster. It's not quite a sprint, but it's I suppose a jog. I mean, Robocop doesn't really move very fast in anything without the assistance for jetpack, but again, Robocop 3 didn't happen. So it makes sense that he's a little bit slower than your average FPS character. He can also take a lot more punishment as well. The gunplay is lovely. I mean, you start off with his Auto 9, his classic gun. It can be upgraded with circuitry, which is similar to what they did with the guns in the sort of plasma weapons in Terminator Resistance. It's a bit more puzzly. Because you have set boards that you put in, and then you can apply sort of chips to the boards, and the chips all have like a combination of 4 different directions they output to, but there are parts on the board you don't want to output to because it gives you penalties. So it's kind of like finding the right chip for the right thing to get the maximum benefits without getting any of those penalties, and that can range from faster reloads to more damage with your weapons, stuff like that. So that's quite nicely done. The Auto 9, even in and of itself, is a joy to use. You can, depending on the board you have a full auto version of it, or you can just have the burst fire version of it. Either one is a joy to use. I love it. You can pick up other weapons outside of very specific circumstances, like you can get a grenade launcher later on that's helpful for taking down like really tough enemies or bosses. Not saying anything about those though, because that's a bit of a spoiler. You can also pick up stuff like Uzis, pistols, machine guns, sniper rifles. You can pull mountain machine guns off, which are probably the only weapon I would use in preference to the Auto 9, to be honest with you, because the Auto 9 is just so iconic for Robocop, but the mountain machine gun has a finite ammo count. You just basically get the ammo that comes with it, so you can't resupply it. Your Auto 9 has an infinite ammo, so you never have to worry about that. and a 50-round magazine, so it's pretty useful and it's pretty much going to take care of business in any circumstance. So generally speaking, unless the situation called for it, such as there's a mission with a lot of snipers, you get one of their sniper rifles. It becomes a lot easier than like trying to aim at a pixel in the distance with your Auto 9. So stuff like that you need additional weapons for, but the Auto 9 for the rest of the game just does the job. And it never becomes boring either. The enemies all take graphic damage in a very entertaining fashion. Obviously, heads come off, legs come off, arms come off. They even have the animation of getting shot in the nuts, like the first Robocop movie. That's in there. If you get a shot in the potatoes, yep, they go down, holding their bits onto their knees and then onto their face. And it is very satisfying. Robocop himself can be upgraded. You do earn experience as you go through for killing things, completing missions. There are side missions for you to do as well. And also picking up illegal items such as incriminating documents, nuke. Nuke is all over the place in this, so obviously shutting down Kane didn't shut down the drug trade, but you always got to have that next branch to reach for, I suppose. And you get points for picking all that stuff up, which you can apply to Robocop's skill tree. He has a number of different abilities that he can then use, such as just more damage on your weapons. You have an ability to charge forward, which will send people flying or just get you out of the way quicker. You can recharge your armor from power sockets by using your fist spike thing. What else? Oh, you can even get it so you can toughen up your armor to the point where small calibers will just ricochet off you doing no damage and hit the guy that shot at you if close enough. That's cool. You also get the ricochet ability, which was in Robocop 2, where he was storming the nuke den and the guy had a baby and he sort of bounced it off a steel door and hit him in the head. You can do the same thing. And it all works really well. The skill tree unlocks enough abilities to keep it fresh. There are more. There's like requirements for like engineering to open safes without combinations, stuff like that. The gameplay will take place in sort of, it kind of has like open hubs, which is a sort of downtown section of Detroit, and you also have sort of like mission based ones. So from the hub you'll go into a building, and the building will be like a submission or part of the main quest line, and you'll come out back onto the street again. There will be quests to do in the streets as well. Somewhere as simple as running a couple of guys off, like harassing a shop owner, or there is a couple of missions which require you to do sort of run-of-the-mill police things like ticketing cars, stuff like that. Those are quite frustrating. There's 6 in each mission to do, and finding them is a pain in the arse. By using the right mouse button you can activate his like robo vision, and that will highlight stuff in green that you need to interact with, but you need to have a direct line of sight on whatever it is, and some of them are pretty small. When used in combat, it will basically outline all of the enemies in the vicinity. Once again, upgrading does come into play here because it will increase the scan range, at which point it will lock on and highlight the bad guys for you, and it does it in a very sort of film accurate manner, which again is most pleasing to me because Robocop is an excellent movie, and 2 is pretty good as well, to be fair. I mean, who doesn't like, you know, him and a bunch of baseball playing children or something. Oh well, never mind. Moving along. It's just when he's fucked up, basically. So Rogue City is just exactly what I want from a Robocop game. I mean, I've played I think the Spectrum version of Robocop, the Ocean release from back in the day, on the channel before, and I thought that would be probably the best Robocop game we've gotten. There have been a few that have come out since. I think Robocop 3 on the Amiga, that probably was the closest, I think, to replicating the Robocop experience. You would like have the whole sort of crosshair RoboVision thing going on, but like because it was a fairly primitive 3D environment, you just be battling basically sort of black sort of shaded silhouettes of people rather than actual people that look like people. But it was fun, and it was a bit slow and clunky, but it got the job done. But this is by far and away the best we've ever had when it comes to a Robocop game, I'd say. Performance-wise, it's okay. The performance will be on the screen. I think I average between 60 and 100, depending on what's going on, frames per second. So that's acceptable. Anything over 60 is fine. And the changes between the frame rates don't seem to cause too much stutter. I couldn't find... It does come with DLSS automatically enabled, or it did for me, so it's obviously recognised that I have an NVIDIA card. I bumped that down to quality. It looks fine, it plays fine. I did notice that, much like Terminator Resistance, everything looks really good apart from the character models. They just look a little cartoony. I don't know what it is. Robocop mostly gets away with it because obviously it's only like his face that is like people. The rest of him is more sort of related to what you might see in the scenery, like cars and stuff, which all look fine, and Robocop does indeed look fine. He does walk. I am torn on this because I remember him walking a bit funny in the movie, but I'm not sure he walked this funny in the movie. He does have a bit of a waddle to him. But I mean, it's Robocop. He kind of walks funny because of the way the suit was made, and obviously you had to have Peter Weller on it, so I guess Peter Weller does return to voice the character. The fact that he's a lot older is noticeable in his performance, but it's still Peter Weller voicing Robocop, so you know, I mean, it's a ridiculous complaint to make that he's gotten older. Yes, he's got older, that's the way, you know, life works, but who else would you want voicing Robocop other than Peter Weller, really? The story's quite good. There are some sort of moral decisions to be made
if you could call my boss and
when you do.
excuse me.
When you say have like a graffiti artist, you can like give him a ticket, or you can just give him a warning. And if you give him a ticket, you're upholding the law. If you give him a warning, you're serving the public trust. So it's obviously like got a sort of morality system going on there that you can play into. Some of the side, there are a lot of side missions. Some of them are less interesting than others. Like the power goes out in the police station, and you have to figure it out because you don't have anything better to do than the work of one of the engineers that they keep on staff, I guess. Or Wendell, I think his name is Wendell, the guy that gets stuck clearing out the lockers of the dead cops in the movies. He's in it, and obviously he doesn't want to clear. He asks you to basically help him clear out a locker. So, I mean, it's all XP to make these wonderful abilities do wonderfully grotesque things to human bodies. So it's a mixed bag. Some of the side quests are a little meh, but you still get a reward for it. So hey, I'm up for it.
You showed them. It was a pleasure
and
to work.
I think that's about it. It's just a really solid shooter that plays really good homage to the first two movies. I'm having a whale of a time. The one problem I did have outside of getting it to start after it patched was the fact it wouldn't let me start a new game without overwriting my current game. And as I hadn't quite finished it at that point when I went to capture footage, you've kind of got like a mid-game slice. I normally prefer to just do the start of the game. In extreme situations when the start of the game has no bearing on the rest of the game, I won't do that. So if I was to, for instance, review Metal Gear Solid 2, I wouldn't do the start of the game. I would do like after the prologue, because that's not really representative of the game in terms of you're not playing as Snake in that. Spoilers, you're not playing as Snake after the first like half an hour. But yeah, so you've got like a slightly later in-game slice. I've tried to like get rid of any cutscenes or anything like that, so I don't really want to spoil anything for you guys, because it's a decent enough story. It's not like amazing or anything, but it's interesting. It does deepen the lore to some extent, and you have like sessions with a psychologist, and you can pick what to say as Robo.
Something not many people know.
So, and you sit in your chair in the police station, and the police station looks like it did in the movie. Even in cutscenes when you're driving out, you don't actually get to drive your car, but there's cutscenes of you driving out, and you like catch the tail of your car on the ramp that goes up, like in the movie. Sort of stuff like that. It's just such attention to detail from someone that's watched the movie like a dozen times or more that I'll pick up on it and I'll be like, oh, cool. I mean, it is technically member berries, but I don't feel it's done in a manipulative fashion here. I think it's just done out of pure sense of love for the franchise. It's also slightly less expensive, so hooray. I mean, Teon are pretty much a AA studio that are, I wouldn't say either of their games are AAA level in terms of polish, but certainly from a gameplay aspect, I would put them up there, I think, personally. So there you go. Robocop Rogue City. I keep wanting to call it Liberty City, but that's like City of Heroes, isn't it? Oh, dear.
I am used to it.
Anyway, it is Robocop Rogue City, available on next-gen consoles and PC. I have, of course, played it on the PC, purely because it's easy to capture for, and, well, normally I can bump up higher, but, yeah, I think I can. I think I'm getting better performance than a console equivalent would. So, yeah, I'm happy in my decision to do that. Plus, it's, you know, I've got bigger hard drives in my PC than I do in my PlayStation. Let's put it that way. They're getting so big. I mean, Jesus. I mean, I'm thankful the new Call of Duty is supposed to be shit. Or at least the campaign is, because that's what I really play them for. Because it's like over 200 gigs, man. Ow. You've got like a terabyte hard drive in your thing? I think it's a terabyte off the top of my head. That's a lot. That, oh. And like the ones that the drives they're compatible with are like super expensive. So, I mean, to get a decently sized one, I'd rather have like a SATA one and just get a stupidly big one there rather than, you know, NVMe. Although I do have a reasonably sized NVMe. Anyway, I'm getting off topic talking about shit like that. Robocop Rogue City. If you like Robocop, the movie, if you like Robocop 2, the movie, if you just like the idea of being a badass cyborg shooting people in the face, I would highly recommend this game. Anyway, that's it from me. Take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.